When you pull away, everything changes. It's not just your absence that impacts her. It's the void you leave behind that starts to shape her reality. When a high-value man disappears, the silence speaks louder than any words. She begins to experience emotions she never expected, emotions that shift her perception of you entirely. Today, we're going to explore 8 powerful emotions she goes through when you simply vanish. These aren't fleeting thoughts, but deep, life-altering realizations that will change the way she sees you forever. 1. The shock of silence. The first thing she feels when you disappear is shock, but this isn't the kind of surprise that fades quickly. It's a profound, all-consuming realization that her world just shifted in an unexpected way. Imagine how everything around her suddenly feels heavier, quieter, almost like the air itself is thicker. There's an eerie silence that settles in, and it's more than just the absence of your voice or messages. Your presence wasn't just a casual occurrence in her life. Whether she admitted it to herself or not, she had grown dependent on it. Think about the small, routine interactions she had gotten used to, the sound of her phone lighting up with your messages, the sight of your name appearing in her notifications, the anticipation of your next text or call. Now, all of that is gone. The sudden silence doesn't just leave her without noise, it leaves her without the connection and validation that came from being noticed by you. And at first, she may try to downplay it. Maybe you're just busy, maybe there's a good reason why you haven't reached out, but as hours turn into days, the reality sets in. You've truly disappeared, and she wasn't prepared for it. This is the first wave that catches her off guard, the shock of realizing that your absence might not be temporary. It's this silence that forces her to reflect on just how much your presence meant, even if she never fully acknowledged it at the time, and that's what makes this shock so intense. It disrupts her sense of normalcy, leaving her world feeling unstable and uncertain. She might try to distract herself, dive into work, or spend time with friends, but the spaces you once filled are impossible to ignore. Every time her phone remains silent when she expected to hear from you, every moment that passes without you, that shock deepens. It's the kind of feeling that lingers, forcing her to confront what she didn't see coming. You're gone, and she wasn't ready for it. 2. Craving for validation. After the shock, another powerful emotion sets in, the craving for validation. This isn't just a passing thought, it's an intense, nagging need to understand whether she really mattered to you. When you were in her life, even if she didn't fully realize it, your attention gave her a sense of validation. Your energy, your interest, it all signaled that she was important to you. Now that you're gone, she's left wondering, did I mean anything to him? Was I special, or was I just another option? This craving for validation isn't something that can be easily shaken. It digs deep, making her question her own worth. The attention and interest that used to make her feel valued have vanished, and she's left trying to fill that void. She starts checking her phone more often, scrolling through old messages, hoping to see a missed text from you. She may even find herself checking your social media, looking for clues, trying to figure out what's going on in your world without her. Here's the thing, the more you remain silent, the more desperate this need for validation becomes. It starts small, but as time passes, it grows into something she can't ignore. Maybe she starts to subtly reach out, liking an old post of yours, sending a casual message, just to see if you'll respond. She's trying to reopen that door, hoping for some indication that she still holds a place in your life. But if you stay distant, if you continue to hold back, that craving intensifies. It becomes a constant itch she can't scratch. She's left wondering why your attention has disappeared so suddenly, and that uncertainty only fuels her need for validation. The more you're gone, the more she questions if she ever mattered at all. 3. The rise of doubt. Once she's deep into that craving for validation, doubt begins to creep in. This is where things start to spiral for her emotionally. Your disappearance forces her to replay everything in her mind, every conversation, every moment, every gesture. She starts analysing every detail, picking apart what she could have done wrong. Did she push you away? Was she too distant? Did she say something that drove you away? Doubt is incredibly powerful because it starts to chip away at her confidence. What once seemed so certain now feels fragile and breakable. She starts questioning her actions, wondering if she made the right choices. Was she vulnerable enough? Should she have opened up more? Should she have been more responsive to your needs? The thing about doubt is that it doesn't just come and go, it sticks around, lingering in her mind. She's left trying to solve a puzzle without all the pieces, and because you're not there to explain or clarify, she's left spinning. Doubt doesn't just make her question her actions, it makes her question the entire relationship. Was she ever truly in control of the situation, or did she misunderstand what was happening between the two of you? This realization is terrifying because it forces her to confront the possibility that maybe she didn't know you as well as she thought. And the longer you stay silent, the more this doubt grows, feeding off your absence. 4. The sting of rejection. When you chose to walk away, rejection hit her hard. It's not just that things naturally faded between you, it's that you made a deliberate choice to pull away. And even if things weren't perfect, the fact that you made the decision to leave feels like a personal rejection. Rejection is one of the most painful emotions because it feels so deeply personal. She's left questioning her worth. Why wasn't she good enough for you to stay? What did she do wrong? This emotion is so powerful because it taps into a primal fear that we all have, the fear of not being loved or valued. In your silence, that fear comes to life for her. She starts believing that your absence is a reflection of her shortcomings, and without your perspective, she's left to create her own narrative. In that narrative, she wasn't enough. But rejection doesn't just hurt, it also motivates. It pushes her to prove herself, to win back your attention. This is when she might start reaching out more, trying to reconnect, showing you that she's changed, or that things could be different. 5. The guilt that follows. Once the sting of rejection fades, another emotion surfaces: guilt. She begins to feel responsible for your disappearance. Even if the situation wasn't entirely her fault, guilt convinces her that she could have done more to keep you around. She replays every interaction in her mind, searching for moments where she might have pushed you away. Did she miss the signs? Was there something she could have done differently? Guilt is tricky because it distorts her perception of what really happened. She begins to believe that she had more control over the situation than she actually did. And because you're not there to offer any closure or clarification, she's left shouldering the weight of that guilt on her own. 6. The fear of being replaced. As guilt takes hold, another fear begins to creep in, the fear of being replaced. She starts imagining that you've moved on, that someone else has taken her place. Maybe it's another woman, or maybe it's something else entirely, your career, your hobbies, or your newfound independence. The idea of being replaced is devastating. It's a fear that gnaws at her constantly because it makes her question her own value. If you can move on so easily, was she ever really special to you? She might start stalking your social media, searching for clues that someone new has stepped into your life. Every photo, every update, without her in it, feels like confirmation of her worst fear, that you've moved on and she's been left behind. 7. Regret, wishing she could turn back time. Once the fear of being replaced sets in, regret isn't far behind. She begins to wish that she had done things differently, that she had made different choices that could have kept you around. Regret is painful because it forces her to dwell on the past, a past she can't change. She looks back at every moment with you, wishing she had handled things differently, been more open, more understanding, or more present. The weight of regret is heavy because it's tied to the feeling of lost opportunities. She wishes she had shown you how much she cared when she had the chance. Now all she can do is replay those moments in her mind, knowing she can't go back and fix them. 8. Growth. Learning from the experience. Finally, after all the pain, doubt, and regret, she begins to grow. This is the stage where she starts to learn from the experience. She realizes that your disappearance wasn't just a loss, it was a lesson. Through this process, she learns more about herself, what she wants in a relationship, and the importance of valuing the people in her life. This growth doesn't mean she's over you. It just means that she's beginning to move forward. She's stronger now, more self-aware, and more prepared to navigate her future relationships with the lessons she's learned from your absence. And there you have it, the 8 powerful emotions she feels when you disappear. It's a whirlwind of shock, doubt, rejection, and ultimately growth. Each one of these emotions reveals just how deeply our actions, or inactions, can affect someone's life. It's a reminder that sometimes pulling away can have a far bigger impact than we realize. So if you've ever been on either side of this experience, take a moment to think about what it means. Maybe you've been the one left wondering where someone went, or maybe you've pulled away yourself. Either way, relationships are complex, and it's these emotional shifts that help shape who we are and what we value. Before you go, let me know in the comments. Have you ever experienced any of these emotions when someone disappeared from your life? How did it change the way you approach your relationships? I'd love to hear your thoughts. If you found this video insightful, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. I'm always sharing more psychological insights, relationship advice, and tips for navigating the dating world. Until next time, take care of yourselves, and remember, every experience is a chance to grow.